we are going to be faced with many different kinds of bills and payments, be they water bills, electricity bills, or gas bills and things like that. And as part of that, we often need to do unit payment calculations. The best way to explain what these are would be through an example. Let's make up an example. Arif checks his water meter. It's one of those smart meter things at the beginning and the end of March. But at the beginning of March, the water meter read a certain number of units, let's say 2,685 units. At the end of March, it read 2,994 units. Now, each unit of water costs, and usually the individual cost for a unit is not too much. It's the overall cost that builds up. So each unit of water costs 21 pence. Work out the cost of his water that month. Now what many students will do is they will multiply 2,994, which is how many units he had at the end of the month, by 21p. But they're misunderstanding units, because at the beginning of March, that 2,685, that's how many units he'd used all the way previous to that presumably he's paid for. So previous years perhaps. So really, the number of units he's used that month is simply the difference between the units at the end of the month and the beginning of the month. That's how many units he's used that month, and that's what we care about. So to work out his cost that month, we would do 2,994, take away 2,685, and that will give us how many units he's used that month. You're always focusing on the difference, not the total. He's used up 309 units of water. How much does each unit cost? Each unit costs 21p. So if we want our answer in terms of pounds, let's say we had an answer box in terms of pounds, what do we multiply by? If we multiply by 21, that's okay, but that will give us our answer in terms of pence. How about we just multiply by 0.21, and then we'd have our answer straight away in terms of pounds. Remember, to get from pence to pounds, we divide by 100. 309 times by 0.21 equals £64.89. £64.89. And that's his cost per month. We found out the difference between at the end of March and the beginning of March, so that's how many units he's used, 309. Then we multiplied it by 21 pence, or in this case 0.21, and we got our answer in terms of pounds, which is £64.89. If we wanted, for example, the average cost per day, well, in March there's 31 days, so we'd divide that by 31. So his average cost per day would be 31. But here they weren't really asking that. I'm just making it up for extra fun. So it'd be £2.09 per day. One more question though, just to bed in that concept of units and unit payment calculations. Here's one I made earlier. I know it's a lot of words, but often these units, calculations and bills you'll receive in your life are quite long and wordy, and you kind of have to wade through them to get to what they're talking about. Let's read through it. Miad wants to know the cost of her electricity per year. She checks her electricity meter at the beginning and the end of the year. At the beginning of the year, the electricity meter read 13,557 units. At the end of the year, the electricity meter reads 14,103 units. Each unit of electricity costs 34p. She must also pay an extra service charge of £25 per year. Work out the total cost for that year of Miad's electricity use. Well, now we're beginning to get the hang of it. What we need to do is find out the difference in the units. That's how many units she's used that year. It's not the total, 14,103. That's the total for her whole life, or the life of that meter. We need to work out the difference. So 14,103 take away 13,557. That's how many units she's used that year. That is 546 units. That's how many units she's used just this year. Each unit costs 34 pence. So again, to keep it in terms of pounds, we could do 546 times by 0.34 times by 0.34. That's 185 pounds and 64 pence. 185 pounds and 64 pence. That's her cost per year. So let's put that down in our answer box. But wait, we can't forget the question. She must also pay an extra service charge of £25. So we need to add that on. Often with bills and exam questions, they sneak in an extra little cost, and you need to keep your eye on it just so you can be aware of just how much you're paying. Let's add that together to 25, and now we have our true total cost, £210 and 64 pence. And that is an introduction to how to check bills and do unit payment calculations.